everybody, it's Miss Jersold, and this is lesson 2 of week 10. We are looking at describing the impact of word choice, imagery, and literary devices, including figurative language in an author's style. Yesterday we talked a lot about word choice and what figurative language is, the difference between figurative and literal. Today we're going to actually dive into what one of those big figurative devices are, and that is imagery. So our big goal for today is I can identify the use of imagery in a text. As always, grab that pen and pencil. I did it again! As always, grab your pencil and paper. That's all you need. The big word of the day, like I said, is imagery. So go ahead and write across the top of your paper, Lesson 2, imagery. I'm going to give you the definition here. It says, imagery, visually descriptive language, especially in a literary work. Language that appeals to the 5 senses, touch, sight, smell, hear, and taste. So we all know what those words mean to us, right? What we smell, what we hear, what we touch, what we taste. When we're writing, that can really make something seem more vivid to the reader. Here's an example. Right now on your paper, I want you to write down touch, dash, sight, dash, smell, dash, hear, dash, taste, dash, underneath your definition of the word imagery. All right, now that we have that done, I'm going to show you a photo. I don't know if you've ever been to the beach before, but if you haven't, try to use your imagination based on the things in this picture. What I want you to do is write down a word after each sense that you listed. I'll give you 45 seconds. I hope you got your 5 different words to illustrate these 5 senses. I'm going to give you an example of what I would have said. If they're even remotely similar or in the same realm, or maybe completely different but the same sense, then you are doing just fine. So let me think. I'm at the beach, I have my feet in the sand, so I can feel the hot sand beneath my toes, touch. I can see the waves lapping on the beach, sight. I can smell the salt in the air, smell. I can hear the seagulls cawing above me, hear. And I can taste my sweet lemonade in my hand, taste. If I just said I'm at the beach, you wouldn't have pictured all of those things I just said when I was describing those 5 senses. Appealing to those senses and using visually descriptive language is what creates imagery and makes your story, your poem, even your nonfiction description even better. All right, so I'm not the best poet, so now we're going to read some imagery from someone that is a very well-renowned poet. Believe it or not, this poem, this little tiny poem, is considered one of the most important poems in all of English literature. You're going to see it in high school, you're going to see it in college, and then maybe you'll never see it again. But chances are it'll pop up. So, this poem is called This Is Just to Say by William Carlos Williams. I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox, and which you were probably saving for breakfast. Forgive me, they were delicious, so sweet, and so cold. You're probably like, that's it? But yes, that's it. That's one of the most important poems in English literature, and you could write it too. So let's talk about it. Punctuation. Is there any? Nope, he skipped it. That's something cool about poetry is you can kind of do what you want once you know the rules. How about how many words are multiple syllables? Okay, I have eaten the plums that were in the icebox and which you were probably, oh, there's a 3-1, saving for breakfast, more twos. Forgive me, they were delicious, 3, so sweet and so cold. The majority of the words were one syllable. And although that doesn't always mean they're less complicated, it does tend to point to the fact that the language in this poem is actually pretty readable. Most people know these words, except for I wouldn't call it an icebox, maybe a freezer. Why did the author write this poem? What is it? It's a note to somebody, right? Have you ever eaten one of your family members' things out of the fridge and left a note? I haven't left a note, but I have eaten one of my family members' things. And if I did, maybe I would leave it like this. I have eaten the pizza you left in the fridge. So sorry, so hungry, so yummy. Right? That would be kind of what William Carlos Williams is saying. And he's leaving it to somebody that he's apologizing to. Who is it for? We don't know. Is it his wife, his brother? Is it his child? We don't know, but it's for somebody that might have wanted those plums. One thing I do know is that there are two famous lines in this poem that are very focused on the imagery of the plums. I was about to say pears. The plums are what? Delicious, so sweet, and so cold. So sweet and so cold are two things that appeal to our senses. You can almost taste it. It's sweet, and it's also nice and cold and very refreshing. That quick little input of imagery makes this poem so much better. Imagine if you just cut it off for breakfast, right? Right underneath that stanza. You're probably saving for breakfast, and we don't understand why he ate the plums. We don't know why he wanted them so bad. It's because they're so sweet and so cold. He could not contain himself. That's imagery, and that's what makes us connect to William Carlos Williams as readers. So if you remember, we are going to be making poetry portfolios ourselves. On that piece of paper where you defined imagery and wrote down the 5 senses, I now want you to write down your assignment. You're going to write a poem just like William Carlos Williams. But don't think of it as a poem. Right now, you can. But if that word stresses you out, why don't you think of it as a note to anyone? A short little note. It can be to your best friend, can be to parents, whoever you live with, whatever. What I want you to do is in that note incorporate some form of imagery. Easier than it sounds, right? So sweet and so cold is all William Carlos Williams had to say about plums. And now we have this image that goes down in history as the plums in the icebox. You guys can do that too. You can describe your shoes with imagery. You can describe your lunch with imagery. All I want you to do is write that note poem and then keep it somewhere safe because we're going to be adding to this poetry portfolio in the future. So, good luck with your homework assignment. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you tomorrow.